everyone, I Rajeshwari Shirkanhalli welcome you all in Nagesh Karasgi Orchid School channel. Students, today we are going to start a new chapter and the chapter is light. As you know that light plays a very important role in our day-to-day life. We can enjoy the beautiful world, we can see the different natural phenomena and we can identify the colors, differentiate between the different colors, differentiate between the different objects. All this is done only because of presence of light. If light would have been not there, then our life would have been become very difficult. Now what is light? It is nothing but a form of energy. That's why light is also called as light energy. It gives the sensation of vision, means we are able to see the things only in the presence of sunlight. Now for example, when you go in a dark room where there is complete darkness, there is no presence of light, then you cannot identify the things, you cannot identify the objects, you cannot identify the colors, but when the room is lit, you are able to identify the colors and different objects. So light plays very important role. So let's begin with the chapter number 16, light. The word is highly beautiful, it is largely known through the senses. The sense of sight is one of the most important senses. So you know that we have different senses, in that the sense of sight is one of the most important senses. Through it we see mountains, rivers, trees, plants, chairs, people and so many other things around us. So all these things are visible to us only because of light. We also see clouds, rainbows and birds flying in the sky. So we enjoy sky watching, we see the clouds, rainbow formation during the rainy season, after the rain shower, when there is presence of sunlight, we see the rainbow. We enjoy those 7 colors formed in the rainbow. Similarly, we see birds flying in the sky. At night, we see the moon and the stars. You are able to see the words and sentences printed on this page. How is seeing made possible? That is possible only because of light. So let's start with the first concept of the chapter, what makes things visible. Have you ever thought how we see the various objects? You may say that eyes see the objects. Eyes are the very important organs of our body and they are very delicate organs. That's why we have to take special care of them. Okay, so generally everybody will say that we see the objects with our eyes, isn't it? But can you see an object in the dark? Eyes are still present in the dark room, but if there is darkness, we cannot see the objects, isn't it? It means that eyes alone cannot see any object. It is only when light from an object enters our eyes that we see the object. So it's not only the eyes but also the light which plays very important role in seeing the objects. So light from the objects when enter our eyes, then only we are able to see those objects. The light may have been emitted by the object or may have been reflected by it. So some of the objects emit their own light, like sun and stars, and whereas the light gets reflected by other objects, and this reflected light when reaches our eyes, then we are able to see the objects. You learnt in class 7 that a polished or a shiny surface can act as a mirror. A mirror changes the direction of light that falls on it. So students, in the last class you have learnt about some basic properties of light and mirror. Any polished surface or shiny surface behaves like a mirror, and when light falls on that mirror, it gets reflected back, means it turns back. Turning back of light rays is called as reflection. So, a mirror changes the direction of light that falls on it. Can you tell in which direction the light falling on a surface will be reflected? When light falls on the surface, it gets reflected back in the backward direction again. So, let us find out with the help of activities. So, let us see laws of reflection. The first activity of the chapter, that is activity 16.1. In this activity, you have to fix white sheet of paper on a drawing board or a table. Either you can use a drawing board or a table. On that you have to fix one white sheet of paper. Okay. So, after fixing that, take a comb and close all its openings except only in the middle. You can see here it is shown in the figure. See, this is the comb. All the openings of the combs are covered with black paper. Only here one small opening is left uncovered. It forms a slit through which light enters. Light passes through that. Okay. So, you can use a strip of black paper for covering those openings of the comb. Hold the comb perpendicular to the sheet of paper. So, how you have to place that comb? That comb you have to place perpendicular to the sheet of paper, means making an angle of 90 degrees. Throw light from a torch through the opening of the comb from one side. So, from one side you have to throw the light through the opening of the comb. So, when light passes, because of all the openings of the comb covered with black paper, no light can pass through them, but only one small opening is left uncovered, isn't it? So, light passes only through that opening. Okay. So, for throwing the light you can use a torch. Now, with slight adjustment of the torch and the comb, you will see a ray of light along the paper on the other side of the comb. So, because of closing of all the openings and because of keeping only one opening uncovered, what happens? The light passes only through that opening. So, rays of light can be seen. So, the ray of light passes through other side of that opening. Keep the comb and the torch steady. What you have to do in this? You have to keep the comb and torch steady. You should not move that. Place a strip of plain mirror in the path of light ray. You can see here this is a plain mirror which is placed in the path of light ray. Now, see, this is the ray of light which is coming from source and passing through this opening, and when it strikes this mirror, this is the reflected ray. Where is the reflected ray? It is on the either side. If you draw here one perpendicular line like this, you will find this side and this is the other side, means the reflected ray is on the other side of the normal. After striking the mirror, the ray of light is reflected in another direction. The light ray which strikes any surface is called incident ray. So, this ray that is coming from source, that is from torch and passing through this opening, and it falls or strikes any surface, that is called as incident ray. And the ray that comes back from the surface after reflection is called as reflected ray. So, this is reflected ray. So, a ray of light is an idealization. In reality, we have a narrow beam of light which is made up of several rays. So, even if it is shown, or while drawing the diagrams also we draw a single ray and we consider it as a ray of light. but actually a ray of light means it is the collection of different and several rays. That means it is actually a beam of light. So, for simplicity we use the term ray for a narrow beam of light. Okay. Now, draw lines showing the position of the plane mirror, the incident ray, the reflected ray on the paper with the help of your friends. Now, here you can see this is the figure, this is the surface, polishing surface. Here in this case it is mirror. Okay. Now, this side this is incident ray and this is reflected ray. Okay. Now, you have to draw a line making an angle of 90 degrees to the line representing the mirror at the point where the incident ray strikes the mirror. So, this is the mirror, this is incident ray and this point is called as the point of incidence. So, from this point of incidence you have to draw a ray which should be perpendicular to this mirror. It is perpendicular to this mirror means it should make 90 degrees. See, you can see here this is 90 degrees. So, draw a line over here making an angle of 90 degrees. That means you have to draw a perpendicular line to the mirror. So, this line is known as the normal to the reflecting surface at that point. Okay. So, here drawing of the normal is shown. The angle between the normal and the incident ray is called as angle of incidence, which is denoted by angle I, small I. So, what is angle of incidence? It is the angle made by the incident ray with the normal. Means in this figure, see this part, this angle is the angle of incidence. And while the angle made by the reflected ray with the normal, that is called as angle of reflection, which is denoted by angle R. Okay. So, measure the angle of incidence and the angle of reflection. Repeat the activities several times by changing the angle of incidence. Enter the data in the table. So, you can see here it is shown fully drawn figure. Angle of incidence and angle of reflection are shown here. This is the surface, mirror or any polishing surface which acts like a mirror. This ray is an incident ray. So, this ray strikes the mirror. This arrow shows that this ray strikes the mirror and after the reflection it comes back. This is the reflected ray. Look at the arrow. You have to show the correct arrows, correct direction. Okay, so, this is incident ray which is going towards the mirror and this is coming back, that is reflected ray. Then here at this point this incident ray is striking the mirror. This is called as point of incidence and from this point of incidence you have to draw a perpendicular line perpendicular to this mirror making an angle of 90 degrees. So, this is normal. Now, look at this, this is angle of incidence. What is the angle of incidence? That is the angle made by incident ray with the normal. So, this is angle of incidence which is denoted by symbol I and whereas this is angle of reflection. So, what is angle of reflection? It is the angle made by the reflected ray with the normal. So, this is called as angle of reflection. Students, you can try this activity at home and you can incident the ray of light by keeping the torch at different positions over here. That means in each case you will get different angles of incidences and each time you measure the angle of reflection. You will find that each time whatever your angle of incidence is there, that is equal to angle of reflection. Means angle I is equal to angle R. So, like that you can perform different activities based on this. You can take different angles. For example, angle 30, angle 40, angle 50, 60, 90, anything, you will get these values exactly equal to angle of incidence. So, Do you see any relation between the angle of incidence and the angle of reflection? Yes. Are they approximately equal? Yes. So, they are equal. Angle I is equal to angle R. If the experiment is carried out carefully, it is seen that the angle of incidence, that is angle I, is always equal to the angle of reflection. This is known as the law of reflection. Students, you have to remember all these laws, as these laws are not only useful for this year, they will be useful in the higher classes. So, angle of incidence is always equal to angle of reflection, that is called as law of reflection. Now, let us perform another activity on reflection. Now, Bhujo has a question for you people as usual. He is asking, what would happen if I threw the light on the mirror along the normal? Okay, so here the incident ray is thrown from this side, making an angle of incidence. But if suppose the torch is kept in this way and it is thrown in this way, that is along the normal, then what will happen? The reflected ray will come back on the same line. So, if the light is thrown on the normal, then the reflected ray is also along the normal, but in opposite direction. Okay. Now, let us see the another activity, that is activity 16.2. Perform activity 16.1 again. This time use a sheet of stiff paper or a chart paper. Let the sheet project a little beyond the edge of the table. So, in the same way you are going to perform the activity, but here you are not going to use a comb, you are going to use a stiff paper, chart paper or something, and one small portion, one small corner of that sheet should be outside the edge of the table. Okay. Cut the projecting portion of the sheet in the middle. Look at the reflected ray. Make sure that the reflected ray extends to the projected portion of the paper. So, you have to, what you have to do is cut the projected portion of the sheet in the middle. Look at the reflected ray. Make sure that reflected ray extends to the projected portion of the paper. Bend that part of the projected portion on which the reflected ray falls. Can you still see the reflected ray? Bring the paper back to the original position. Can you see the reflected ray again? What do you infer? So, look at these figures. So, this is a sheet of paper and one small part is projecting outside the table. So, here you have to cut this part. Incident ray, reflected ray and the normal at the point of incidence lie in the same plane. So, from this, what is the conclusion? The incident ray, the reflected ray and the normal lie in the same plane. Means if you keep on stretching the size of the plane, but they all lie in the same plane. When the whole sheet of paper is spread on the table, it represents one plane. Okay, in the beginning when the whole sheet is kept on the table, that table represents one plane. The incident ray, the normal at the point of incidence and the reflected ray are all in this plane. So, this is the second law, that the incident ray, the normal at the point of incidence and the reflected ray all lie in the same plane. Now, when you bend the paper, you create a plane different from the plane in which the incident ray and the normal lie. So, one small portion of the paper, small portion of that sheet, when you bend, what happens? That bent part of the paper forms another plane, and whereas the previous part of the plane is another plane. Means here you will get two planes. Then you do not see the reflected ray in that case. So, if the projected paper which is outside the table, if it is bent, then you cannot see the reflected ray on that part. Now, what does it indicate? It indicates that the incident ray, the normal at the point of incidence and the reflected ray all lie in the same plane. This is another law of reflection. What is the first law? The angle of incidence is always equal to the angle of reflection. That is the first law. And the second law of reflection is the incident ray, the normal at the point of incidence and the reflected ray all lie in the same plane. Okay. Now, Paheli and Bhujo performed the above activities outside the classroom with the sun as the source of light instead of a torch. You too can use the sun as the source of light. So, students, if you want, you can also use the sun as the source of light to perform this activity. Now, these activities can also be performed by making use of the ray streak apparatus. Now, Bhujo remembered that he has studied in class 7 some features of the image of an object formed by a plane mirror. Students, you also have learned about the properties of images which are formed in the plane mirror. Now, what is a plane mirror? The mirror which you use. Before coming to school, you get ready and you see how you are looking, whether everything is done properly. So, that mirror which we use in our homes, that is nothing but a plane mirror. Properties of the images formed in the plane mirror is already discussed in the previous class. Now, Paheli asked him to recall those features. Okay. So, what is the first property of the image of the object formed on the plane mirror? Is based on this question. Was the image erect or upside down? You all know that in the plane mirror we get an erect image. Erect means straight as it is. Means when you stand in front of the mirror, your head is at the top and your legs are at the bottom, isn't it? Upside down is nothing but inverted image. Means if you see your legs are at the upper side and head is at the lower side, then that is called as inverted image, and that type of image is formed in the spherical mirrors, which you are going to study later on. But in the plane mirror you see an erect image. Now, the second question is, was it of the same size as the object? Yes. So, the size of the image is exactly same as the size of the object. Students, you must be remembering you did different activities like placing a flame of the candle in front of the mirror and seeing its image. Similarly, you took a chessboard and placed one of the objects on that chessboard by counting the number of boxes, and you saw that image also. The third question is, did the image appear at the same distance behind the mirror as the object was in front of it? Yes. So, just now what I said, if you count the object boxes and keep an object on the chessboard, then you can see in the mirror also at the same distance the image is formed. So, the image appears at the same distance behind the mirror as the object was in front of it. Now, the fourth question is, could it be obtained on a screen? No. This image cannot be obtained on a screen. The image is formed far behind the screen. The image is formed far behind the mirror. It is not projected on the screen. Means the nature of the image is virtual. Now, again the images are of two types, real and virtual. What is a real image? The image which can be obtained on the screen, that is called as a real image, and virtual image means the image which cannot be obtained on the screen, that is called as virtual image. So, now the image formed in the plane mirror is a virtual image, an erect image. It is of the same size, it appears at the same distance behind the mirror as the object is placed in front of it, and it cannot be obtained on the screen. Okay. Now, let us understand a little more about the formation of image by a plane mirror in the following way. Now, let us see the next activity, activity 16.3. A source of light O is placed in front of a plane mirror PQ. Two rays OA and OC are incident on it. That's all shown in the figure 16.5, which I will show you. It's there on the next page. So here the source of light is O and a plane mirror is used, which is PQ. Then two rays are drawn, OA and OC. These are incident rays. Can you find out the direction of the reflected rays? We can. What we have to do for that? From this both the point of incidences, first we have to draw the normals. Normals means perpendicular lines to the surface of mirror PQ. At the point AC, at the points A and C. Okay. OA is one incident ray. So, it incidents at point A. OC is the second incident ray which incidents on point C. So, from the mirror PQ at point A, one normal you have to draw, and from PQ at point C you have to draw another normal ray. Then draw the reflected rays at the points A and C. How would you draw these rays? Call the reflected rays AB and CD respectively. Extend them further. Do they meet? Extend them backwards. Do they meet now? If they meet, mark this point as I. For a viewer's eye at E, do the reflected rays appear to come from the point I? So, students, see here, now this is the mirror PQ. OA, this is one incident ray. OC is the second incident ray. Again, look at the arrows, direction of arrows. So, this OA is incidenting at point A. OC is incidenting at point C. Now, this is one normal drawn from point O on surface PQ. Normal means perpendicular line making an angle of 90 degrees. This angle is 90 degrees. Similarly, from this another point of incidence, that is from point C, this is the another normal drawn on PQ, which makes again an angle of 90 degrees. Okay, now after incidenting on point A, this ray OA gets reflected. So, AB is the reflected ray of incident ray OA, and CD is another reflected ray, which is reflected ray of OC. Okay. Now, if you see, this is eye, human eye, means observer will see from here. But if you see, it seems that these both the reflected rays are going away from each other. Okay. So, you have to extend these lines back. So, when you extend the lines, you have to draw the dotted lines. It seems that these both the reflected rays have emerged from this point, that is point I. Since here the reflected rays do not actually meet at point I, but only appear to do so, we say that a virtual image of the point O is formed at I. Okay, so this is the virtual image. Why? Because here the rays are not meeting actually, only they appear that they are meeting here behind the mirror. So, this kind of image is called as virtual image. As you have learnt already in class 7, such an image cannot be obtained on the screen. Okay, so virtual images cannot be obtained on the screen. You may recall that in an image formed by a mirror, the left of the object appears on the right and the right appears on the left. Students, again recall in 7th standard you performed an activity. You can do it again. Stand in front of the mirror and raise your right hand. You will see that in the mirror, instead of right hand, your left hand is raised. And then if you raise your left hand in the mirror, right hand is raised. So, means left becomes right and right becomes left. That is called as lateral inversion. So, here the image formation is not inverted, it is erect image, but it gets inverted sideways, left to right, right to left. That is called as lateral inversion. So, students, today we have discussed the introductory part Then we have seen some activities based on the plane mirror. We have discussed, we have recalled again the properties of images formed on the plane mirror. We have seen that the image formed on the plane mirror is virtual, it is erect, it is of the same size as that of object, it forms at the same distance from the mirror as equal to the distance between object and mirror. We have seen that this image cannot be projected on the screen and it shows the lateral inversion, means right becomes left and left becomes right. So, these are all very interesting activities. Try to perform these activities by your own. Read the concepts, mark important points and prepare your own question bank. So, remaining and very interesting concepts we will continue in the next session. Today we will stop. Thank you.